Some women bring light the moment they walk into a room. Others, well, the light returns the moment they walk out. Now, don't get me wrong. This isn't about bitterness, and it's not about blame. It's about clarity. Because if you've lived long enough, and I know you have, you've seen it for yourself. Not everyone who smiles at you is a friend, and not every hand you hold is meant to hold yours back. Life's too short to keep giving your time, energy, and hard-earned peace to women who drain you, confuse you, or leave you second-guessing yourself, especially those who hide behind charm, beauty, or carefully polished social graces. In today's video, we'll uncover 6 unmistakable signs of harmful behavior in women, traits you can't afford to ignore. This isn't about judgment. It's about wisdom, about recognizing who truly deserves a seat at your table and who's only there to take from it. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. And I'd add, it also depends on the company you keep. Let's sharpen that clarity together. Ready? Let's begin. Number 1. She's always the victim. The first sign is one many men overlook until it's too late. She's always the victim. And I mean always. It doesn't matter if it's a stranger at the store, her best friend of 20 years, or her last 3 relationships. Somehow, in every story, she's the one who was hurt, misunderstood, or betrayed. You sit across the table, listening, nodding. At first, you may even feel protective. She's convincing. She paints vivid pictures of how unfair life has been, how no one ever truly got her. And if you're not paying close attention, you might think, maybe she just needs someone to treat her right. That's the hook. But the longer you stay, the more you realize this isn't about healing, it's about control. I knew a man, Tom, a good man, steady, kind. He met a woman like this after his divorce. At first, he thought she was refreshingly open. She told him everything. How her ex lied to her, how her boss held her back, how her family always sided with someone else. He admired her strength, but months went by. The stories kept coming, and they always followed the same script. Everyone else was toxic. Every job ended unfairly. Every friendship ended in betrayal. Eventually, Tom found himself playing a role he never agreed to. He was either the hero, constantly reassuring her, or the villain when he disagreed or, heaven forbid, suggested she take any responsibility. This is where it gets dangerous. A woman who sees herself as a permanent victim will never take ownership of her role in anything. She rewrites every situation to fit her narrative. And if you get too close, you'll be cast as the next antagonist, the one who let her down, the one who never understood her. It's a cycle, and it's exhausting. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control other people. We can only control ourselves. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But the woman who clings to victimhood refuses that power. She demands that everyone else carry the weight of her emotions. She will drain your energy, your patience, and if you're not careful, your peace of mind. So, what do? You recognize it. You stop playing the rescuer. You don't take responsibility for someone else's wounds if they're unwilling to heal. Stay grounded in reason, not emotion. Offer compassion, but hold your boundaries. And if the stories never change, step back quietly, firmly. Stoic wisdom reminds us, peace is found within, and if someone keeps pulling you into chaos, walking away isn't cruel, it's wise. Number 2, she's addicted to drama. This next sign, you'll feel it in your gut. Before you even see it clearly, she's addicted to drama, and I don't mean the occasional emotional outburst. We're all human. I'm talking about someone whose entire life feels like a never-ending performance. One she's directing, starring, in and rewriting, constantly. If life around her becomes too calm, too stable, she'll find a way to stir things up, just to feel alive again. To her, peace feels boring, stability feels like a cage, and without even noticing it, you'll be pulled into a cycle of confusion, conflict, and emotional chaos that never seems to end. It usually starts small. Maybe one day she's upset because you were distracted while she was talking, or you didn't text back quickly enough, and suddenly, that's evidence. You're pulling away. What was meant to be a quiet evening turns into an argument you never saw coming. You spend hours trying to explain yourself, apologizing for something you don't fully understand. And by the end of it, you're the one exhausted, while she seems strangely energized. That's the thing about people who thrive on drama. It gives them a sense of control. Chaos becomes their comfort zone because it keeps them at the center of attention. The world spins around their emotions, and everyone else is left trying to keep up. From a stoic point of view, this behavior makes perfect sense once you strip it down. Seneca once wrote, "An angry man opens his mouth and shuts his eyes." This applies here. A person addicted to drama isn't seeking truth or resolution. She's seeking the rush, the stimulation that comes from emotional upheaval, hers or yours. She loses sight of reason because she's blinded by impulse. She's not looking for harmony, she's looking for intensity. And if you happen to be the nearest source of it, you'll be caught in the crossfire. The real danger is how easily you can get swept into it. You tell yourself you're helping, that you're calming things down, but you're not. You're just playing your part in her performance. And over time, it chips away at your peace, your clarity, and eventually your sense of self. You become reactive, anxious, walking on eggshells, constantly bracing for the next emotional storm. And when a man loses his inner stillness, he loses his greatest strength. So what's the solution? Distance, not always physical at first, but emotional. Step back. Let the waves crash without diving in to save anything. Observe, but don't. Participate. As Epictetus taught, we cannot control others. We can only control how we respond. And sometimes the wisest response is silence, space, and the firm refusal to be pulled into chaos. You're not obligated to be an actor in anyone else's drama. Your role as a stoic man is to remain grounded, steady, and above all, free. Number 3, she controls through guilt. Did you know guilt is one of the most powerful tools of psychological manipulation? Studies show it activates the same regions of the brain associated with physical pain. That heaviness in your chest, the tightness in your gut, it's not just in your head. It's real, and some women, the wrong women, know exactly how to pull those strings. She controls through guilt, not directly, not openly, but in quiet, calculated ways that make you second-guess your own decisions. At first, it seems like she's just sensitive. Maybe she gets upset when you cancel plans to focus on something important at work. Maybe she goes quiet when you suggest taking a little time for yourself. You think she just needs reassurance, so you offer it. You cancel your plans. You rearrange your priorities. And each time, you give up a small piece of yourself just to avoid seeing that disappointed look in her eyes. You know the one. It says, "I thought you were different. I thought I mattered more." She never has to say it out loud. Her silence is enough. Her sigh is enough. And slowly, you begin to feel like you're failing her, like no matter how hard you try, it's never quite enough. Here's the tricky part. You don't even realize it's happening until you've already crossed your own boundaries. You're no longer making decisions based on reason or values. You're reacting. You're trying to avoid that creeping sense of guilt that rises whenever you do something for yourself instead of her. And this is how she keeps control. Guilt becomes her currency. And the more you pay, the more she demands. Not always. With words, but with gestures, with moods, with the careful withdrawal of affection. You find yourself explaining your choices more than making them. You become the villain in her story if you don't meet her unspoken expectations. Slowly, you stop being yourself and start playing a role she's written for you. But Stoic philosophy has an answer for this. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself," and that's the core of it. When you allow guilt to guide your actions, you've already surrendered your freedom. Guilt clouds your judgment. It pulls you into a cycle of appeasement where your purpose and values fade. The solution isn't to fight, it's not to argue, it's to set clear, steady boundaries, to act from reason, not from fear. You offer what you choose to offer, not because you're avoiding punishment, but because it aligns with who you are. And when she tries to pull those old strings of guilt, you remain still, calm, and resolved. A man who knows his values and stands firm in them is free, and freedom is something no amount of guilt can ever take from you unless you give it away. Number 4, she lacks empathy. This next sign often reveals itself when life takes a hard turn. She lacks empathy, and if you've lived long enough, you know this truth. Eventually, life will take that turn. You'll lose someone. Your health may decline. Business might collapse. Pain is inevitable. And when it comes, you learn who's truly in your corner. A woman who lacks empathy won't be there. Or if she is, it's only because she thinks she should be, not because her heart is in it. You'll notice it in small ways at first. Maybe you mention feeling worn out after a brutal week. She glances up from her phone for half a second, then steers the conversation back to something trivial about her day. Or maybe you share something personal, something that took real courage to open up about, and instead of leaning in, she brushes past it like it's just another line in a casual conversation. There's a distance. You feel it. It's not just that she doesn't understand, it's that she doesn't care to. A man I know, someone I deeply respect, once told me about a woman he dated after his wife passed away. At first, she seemed supportive. But when the real weight of his grief surfaced, when he needed someone to sit in the quiet and just be there, she became uncomfortable, restless, and impatient. She didn't have the emotional range to meet him where he was. Instead, she changed the subject. She offered shallow reassurances, then steered things back to herself, her plans, her problems, her life. Eventually, he realized something painful but liberating. He was lonelier with her than he ever was by himself, and this is where we turn to Stoic thought. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one, but I'd offer this addition, waste no more time hoping someone will become something they are not. Empathy isn't something you can teach. It's not something you can coax or bargain for. It's either there or it isn't, and when it's missing, you feel it in your bones. An empathetic partner doesn't need to fix you. She doesn't need to say much, but her presence, steady, calm, and sincere, reminds you that you're not alone. A woman who lacks empathy can sit right next to you, and yet you'll feel miles apart. If you find yourself constantly making excuses for why she seems distant during your hardest moments, stop. Pay attention to that feeling. Stoicism teaches us to accept what is, not what we hope for, but what is. And in this case, the truth is simple. If she cannot meet you with compassion when life gets hard, she will not be there for the storms to come. The solution isn't to demand more from her, it's to choose differently, for yourself. Walk away if you must, not in anger, but in clarity. Life is too short to be with someone who listens with their ears, but not their heart. Number 5, she's obsessed with superficial things. This sign is easy to overlook at first, but over time, it will drain the life right out of you. She's obsessed with superficial things, not in a light-hearted, harmless way, but in a way that reveals where her values truly lie. She measures life by appearances, by how big the house is, by how expensive the shoes are, by how many people are watching, liking, applauding, the things that hold no true weight in the long run. are treated as if they're everything. Her sense of worth is not rooted in who she is, but in what she can show off. It's not about the things themselves. It's about what they represent to her: status, approval, superiority. You may tell yourself it's harmless. You may even think there's nothing wrong with liking nice things. But this goes deeper, because it's not just about desire, it's about identity. She doesn't just want nice things, she needs them to feel like she matters, and slowly she begins to judge you the same way she judges herself, by what you can provide on the outside. You'll find yourself feeling like a contestant in a competition you never signed up for. Whether you earn 6 figures or 7, whether you drive a reliable truck or a luxury car, it's never enough, because someone else always has more, and she's always looking for the next rung to climb. The Stoics warned us about this kind of mindset over 2,000 years ago. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." And yet, a woman obsessed with status and appearances is never content. No matter what she gets, it's not satisfaction she feels. It's a fleeting high, quickly followed by the emptiness of wanting more. It's like trying to fill a broken jar. Everything you pour in leaks right back out. She's trapped in the endless cycle of chasing externals, and if you tie yourself to her, you'll be dragged along for the ride. But here's the truth that Stoicism teaches us. Externals are indifferent. Marcus Aurelius called them things indifferent, meaning they neither add nor subtract from your worth as a human being. What matters is character, virtue, how you live your life, and what you stand for. A woman who can't see past the surface will never recognize those deeper qualities in you, no matter how deeply you live by them. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." And the woman, obsessed with superficial things, she is the poorest kind of companion, because she will never know contentment, and she will never offer peace. And peace, my friend, is what a Stoic man guards above all else. If you find yourself with someone like this, someone who cares more about how things look than how things are, understand this: you will lose yourself if you try to keep up. Your energy, your dignity, your peace, all of it will be spent chasing shadows. The solution is simple, though never easy. Walk away. Not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. Because a man who values his peace knows when to leave a shallow life behind. Number 6, she can't admit she's wrong. This next sign reveals itself in the small moments, a disagreement that turns into something much bigger than it should be. Why? Because she can't admit she's wrong. Not ever. You could lay out every fact. Speak with calm reason, even show proof so clear a child could understand it, and still she'll twist the story to make herself right. And if she can't win on facts, she'll shift the ground beneath your feet. Suddenly, it's no longer about the disagreement. It's about how you're making her feel, how you're attacking her character, how you always do this. The original issue vanishes beneath an avalanche of emotional deflection. At first, you might think it's just pride. Maybe she's having a rough day. But over time, you realize it's a pattern. She cannot own her mistakes, no matter how small. She'll defend a bad decision, a cruel remark, an obvious oversight. She'll defend it to the very end, because in her mind, being wrong is the same as being weak. And weakness to her is unacceptable. But the issue runs deeper than pride. Psychologically, those who refuse to admit fault often do so because their sense of self is fragile. Accepting blame feels like a threat to their identity, so they fight to protect it at all costs. But when someone makes being right the goal in every interaction, they sacrifice something far more valuable: growth, connection, and trust. Because a person who cannot acknowledge fault cannot learn, and a person who cannot learn cannot grow. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change." It's the truth I'm after. That's the mark of real wisdom, the ability to welcome correction as an opportunity, not an attack. But when someone rejects that principle, you'll find yourself in a relationship where your perspective is always under suspicion, and the burden of being the reasonable one always falls on your shoulders. That burden, it's exhausting, and it's lonely. The relationship stops being about connection and becomes about control. And the great irony, by refusing to admit fault, she loses the very thing the Stoics believed gives life its purpose, the pursuit of truth. If she can't say the simple words, "I was wrong," she's not just protecting her pride. She's walling herself off from growth, from understanding, and ultimately from love itself. For a Stoic man, this is where clarity becomes essential. You must choose humility and truth in your own life, and you must choose a partner who does the same. Not because she's perfect, but because she's willing to be imperfect and brave enough to admit it. Without that humility, there's no partnership, only competition, and life is too short to spend it keeping score. Seneca said, "Only time can heal what reason cannot." But in a relationship where reason is never allowed a seat at the table, time only makes things worse. The solution? Seek someone who knows that saying "I was wrong" isn't weakness. It's one of the highest forms of strength, and if she can't offer that, then in truth, it's time to walk away. Not out of anger, but out of respect for yourself and for the life of wisdom and peace you're building. Number 7. She disrespects your time. If life has taught us anything by this age, it's that time is the one currency we never get back. Money, you can earn more of it. Health, you can fight for it, but time, once it's spent, it's gone. That's why a woman who disrespects your time isn't just careless, she's dangerous to your peace of mind. And if you're not careful, she'll steal years from you in small, silent ways you won't even notice until it's too late. I remember a man named Richard I used to work with in Houston. A successful contractor in his mid-50s, one of those men who had built everything he had from the ground up. Sharp, disciplined, respected. But in his personal life, it was a different story. Richard had started seeing a woman named Elise, and at first, she was charming. She had the looks, the warmth, and she knew how to make a man feel wanted. But there was a pattern. She was always late. First, 20 minutes, then 40. She'd cancel plans last minute because she wasn't feeling up to it or something important came up. Sometimes she'd just forget altogether. Richard, being the patient man he was, let it slide. At first, he figured it was just life. Things get busy. We all know how that is, but weeks turned into months, and Richard found himself shifting his work schedule to fit hers. He waited alone at restaurants, he delayed trips, he cancelled fishing weekends with old friends because Elise said she really wanted to see him that day, only to bail without a second thought. I'll never forget sitting across from him one afternoon, watching him stare at his phone after she'd stood him up again. He just shook his head and said, "Man, I feel like I'm always waiting." That's what happens when someone disrespects your time. They don't just make you wait physically, they keep you waiting mentally, emotionally, and eventually spiritually. And if you're not careful, they'll make you believe it's normal. That you need to be more understanding, that this is just how things are now, but a Stoic man knows better. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And that's the truth Richard came to realize. Elise wasn't busy, she wasn't forgetful. She simply didn't value his time because she didn't value him, and he had allowed it by not valuing his own time first. The solution isn't confrontation or ultimatums, it's clarity. Respect your time as fiercely as you respect your life, because they are one and the same. A woman who honors you will honor your time. She will show up when she says she will. She will treat your minutes as something sacred because they are. Epictetus asked, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" Richard stopped waiting, and so should you. Time wasted is life wasted. Spend yours where it's valued. I'd love to hear about your journey and your triumphs. Please hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment below to share your story, your successes, and even the challenges you've overcome. If you're not sure what to comment, just write, "I love this." To show you've completed this session, your engagement helps this community grow toward wisdom and the art of turning every challenge into an opportunity. I'll leave 2 more videos here so you can continue learning and growing on your journey. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.